Tom Cranmer joins us now live. So much to talk about there. One thing even that Kim just talked about before we get to the press conference in general here is that the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office saying no request even for a warrant. It's been over 72 hours that Joe Gentz has been sitting there. So let's start with him.
All right.
Do you think that this means that police are doubting his credibility, doubting the story? And David Grimm said that according to his sources that he has changed his story some 6 times.
Well, Joanne, the way the process works is that the police agency is the investigative arm, if you will, and then once they have their case together, generally what happens is they'll take it to the prosecutor and say, here's what we have, here's what we've put together, and now we want an arrest warrant for a particular individual. I think it's fair to say, we're guessing, but I think it's fair to say that because Joe Gentz hasn't been charged yet, there must be some issue about his credibility or his story fitting together. And you would expect that the prosecutor and the police would want to make sure that that story, if you will, that testimony is airtight before they move forward.
David Grimm said, I would be shocked if charges are not coming against Joe today, but we'll see. Okay, over an hour that he's been talking to reporters now, and truly it did almost, to those of us listening, sound a bit like closing arguments. He made a strong case for his client. First of all, what did you make, I guess, of some of what you heard him say today?
Well, I think what I heard a little bit was, and I agree with your assessment about it sounding a bit like a closing argument, I think that what we're seeing is a strategy of the best defense is a good offense.
Yeah.
I want to get kind of my story out there to balance what has happened thus far. We know that for a variety of reasons there's been quite a steady stream or leak of information from the law enforcement folks, and the media has done a pretty good job of doing its own investigation. So an awful lot has come out. Whether it's true or not, we don't know, but it doesn't paint a very good picture for Bob Bashara. And I think what David's probably trying to do is to balance that out a bit.
You know, that's why he talked about the polygraph, because someone said, why a second polygraph? And he was really adamant that polygraphs are not admissible in a court of law, but that really it was solely to have an impact on a potential Wayne County jury pool, even though he said he does not believe his client will be charged.
Right.
Surprised by hearing something like that?
A little bit. I mean, that walks, to be honest, kind of a fine ethical line in terms of putting information out that you think potentially could impact the jury pool down the road. But probably the big issue is just this whole idea about a polygraph. And of course, polygraphs are not admissible in evidence, and this is perhaps a clear indication of why that's the case. They aren't infallible. To some extent, they are only as good as the examiner who gives the exam. And I've certainly seen situations where 2 examiners will test an individual essentially on the very same issues and come out with different results.
Yeah, well, we'll see. So much more we could talk about, but we'll leave it there now. Tom, thank you so much for your insight.
Joanne, thank you.